possibly could. They are much more advanced in research, in research on various types of products, and we can gain a lot in terms of opening up doors for Kenyans and opening up doors for technology transfer from Brazil to Kenya. So having an agricultural background and being in a place where you'll be able to identify what is good and useful for us, I believe Dr. Karanja will do a good job to help Kenyans out. Honourable Speaker, I want to very briefly speak about the appointment of the Consul General, Mr. Noah Yero Gubao. Honourable Speaker, I remember very well in this House, we had a heated debate on why should we send Kenyans to die in Haiti. Up to now, Honourable Speaker, I have not been able to find any situation where a Kenyan has died in Haiti. In any case, Kenyans are being commended for the good work that they are doing. And this is an outgrowth of that particular opening or that particular relationship that we created with Haiti. So, Honourable Speaker, I would like to appeal to our colleagues that sometimes we need to be objective in whatever we say so that we may also open up doors and avenues for Kenyans. Those Kenyans who are in Haiti are Kenyans who are earning a living, maybe even an extra coin out of such engagement, which are of international nature. Honourable Speaker, very briefly about our UNEP appointment. Honourable Speaker, this UNEP appointment is in Nairobi. United Nations Environmental Program is based here in Nairobi, and we believe and strongly believe that the appointment of Ababu Namwamba, Honorable, is going to help us to especially dig into the environmental issues in this country and relate what we are doing in terms of policies, in terms of legal and the regulatory instruments of this country with what is happening at the UN. It will help us also to improve our sitting or our statement that we make at the international negotiation tables, and I believe that he will also take time to identify what other countries do so that they are so impactful when it comes to the outcomes of negotiations. In most of the cases, Honourable Speaker, we do not take the right people to the negotiating table. Sometimes we pick institutions, and these institutions may not have the correct personnel to go to the negotiations. And I would like to appeal to the Honourable Ababu Namwamba, once he takes this particular position, to look at the issue of negotiations, at the determinations of what are our proposals to the various issues that are under the table when it comes to the United Nations Framework Conventions on climate change, especially, and when the conference of parties are meeting. Honourable Speaker, with those few remarks, I support the adoption of this report.
Kainan. There's one behind you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute to this very important report. Mr. Speaker, diplomacy, by definition, is the art, science, and other means states use to interact with other nations to safeguard their national interest. Mr. Speaker, that being the case, in the modern day diplomacy, Mr. Speaker, was born out of the Vienna Convention of 1961, which also provided the basis for diplomatic engagement as to promote, to project, and to protect the interests of that particular country. Mr. Speaker, I'm aware that it was during your time as the Minister for Foreign Affairs, and later on when Amina took over, that for the first time we have adopted a written foreign policy which provides 5 pillars as the basis for our diplomatic engagement. Mr. Speaker, number 1 is peace diplomacy. 2 is economic diplomacy. 3 is diaspora diplomacy. 4 is environmental diplomacy. And 5 is cultural diplomacy. Mr. Speaker, this being the basis of our foreign diplomatic pillars, then what is it that an individual is supposed to have? This particular field is a specialized field. Mr. Speaker, I know individuals have alluded to this. When you are appointed, the first thing is you are expected to be the interface between Kenya and the country that you have been assigned to represent Kenya. There are basic things that, other than the educational qualifications, there are basic things that sometimes we fail to appreciate. Mr. Speaker, in the past, before the collapse, before the end of the Soviet Union, Mr. Speaker, diplomats used to be appointed purely on ideological persuasions. But today things have changed. Things have changed because first thing in our engagement is economic diplomacy. Mr. Speaker, as much as these three individuals are qualified, and I do know their first objective will be to pursue track one diplomacy, meaning state-to-state relations. But there are other things that they are also expected to do through track two diplomacy, which is non-state actors' role in our diplomatic engagement, in particular the UN. The Honorable Ababu Namwamba, as a former minister, as a former parliamentarian, I must say is one of the most qualified individuals to represent Kenya, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, being appointed or being assigned to represent Kenya at the UN Habitat, Mr. Speaker, this entity is the only one of its kind south of Sahara. But the role has been completely dispersed. The functions of this entity called UNEP that is supposed to be here has been dispersed to Spain, Portugal, and other countries. Mr. Speaker, recently, some few months ago, Kenya was given the status of being the only non-NATO allied member south of Sahara, and the fourth in Africa, Mr. Speaker. This is not a mean achievement. Mr. Speaker, this comes with pride and prestige. And therefore, the individuals who are appointed to this position, first of all, must be educationally qualified, must be individually spirited and ready to represent Kenya in all aspects, in all their international assignments. And therefore, the question is, Mr. Speaker, and this is why I agree with the chairman of Defense and Foreign Relations, before individuals are assigned or nominated to these positions, there must be some engagements so that the presidential appointments are very lucrative and very appointments, so that individuals don't turn down these offers at the last minute. And therefore, in future, and I agree with the chairman, before some of these individuals are nominated or assigned, they must have some informal interaction. And this is what the chairman actually has alluded to, Mr. Speaker. And this is the right thing to do, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I know you are a product of this. Mr. Speaker, this being the case, these appointments are coming at a time when the global village, when Kenya is being challenged economically, politically. There are so many issues that these diplomats have to be prepared. And I want to agree with what Honorable Sunkuli has said. Linguistic reference, preparedness is very important. When you are assigned, you are an intelligence officer, you are an economic representative, you are political. Therefore, knowing the language of that community where you are expected to serve is a very important thing. And therefore, I want to ask the chairman defense and the other member, in future, there must be some linguistic preparedness for some of these individuals. So that if you are posted to a Portuguese-speaking country, you must have the basics. If you are going to be posted to China, you must also have the basics. Otherwise, you will waste your first 2 years in getting ready, and that will be a waste. And by then, the times have changed. Your tour of duty has almost come to an end, and you will have done nothing. And I think that's a very important suggestion. Not that we are not happy with the appointing authority, but it's a way to assist so that the individual becomes productive as soon as you take that particular role. Mr. Speaker, this being the case, today the world is going through a serious crisis. The Middle East crisis, the Ukraine and the Russian crisis, Mr. Speaker, and the change of regime in the US, Mr. Speaker, this is the high time that Kenyans who are appointed to these positions must be individuals who can meet the test of time, individuals who are prepared, individuals who have the skills, individuals who have the interests of this country at heart, and individuals who are willing to go out of their way to promote this premier nation, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the past, you are aware, some of these postings used to be a dumping ground. You fail in all other things. And Mr. Speaker, I want to attest to one thing, that parliamentarians or politicians remain the best all-round ambassadors this country has ever had. And you are witness, you know it. Because the fact that you are a politician doesn't mean, and I want to disagree with those who said some of these individuals, like Ababu Namwamba and many others, who have been politicians, and I can tell you, will remain the best ambassadors this country has ever had. So let's support our colleagues. To be a former politician is not a curse. To be a former minister is not a curse. But you must be prepared for the job. That's why consultation is also very important. And Mr. Speaker, I know you are also a seasoned product of this particular ministry. One of the things that we should be encouraging, Mr. Speaker, is because we have opened so many missions. Are these missions contributing to the economic well-being of the Republic of Kenya, or they have just expanded our political engagement? As chairman and colleagues, as the former chair of this committee, is one of the things that you need to go around and find out what is the economic contribution of some of these missions that we have opened. If it is through political persuasion, I think you need to close them as soon as possible. If they are adding well-being, if they are going to add value to the economic growth, to the economic well-being, then we need to open, we need to look everywhere. East, west, north, south, and that's our diplomatic engagement. And that's one of the things that proudly we have entrenched over the years. And finally, Mr. Speaker, this appointment comes at a time also when some of the role, there's a lot of debate in Mr. Speaker. The debate is, what is going to be the position of Kenya? Are we going to join the League of Developing Nations, or are we going to be competing with ourselves? Over the years, we have been competing with ourselves. Today, Mr. Speaker, you are witness. Just reflect on the GDP of Ethiopia. It's almost twice that of Kenya. Few years ago, Ethiopia was a struggling economy. Mr. Speaker, look at Uganda. Few years ago, Uganda was dependent on Kenya. Today, they are not our favorite trading partner. Look at Tanzania. What happens to Kenya? We have all become, we have all reduced ourselves to an inward-looking nation. An internal debate that will not put food, water, and other amenities on the table. We need to think outside. What happens outside? We need to create opportunities, because many youths in the field are either unemployed or underemployed. And many are in the field and they're looking upon this leadership here to give them opportunities. These opportunities will not come if we become a state that politics from morning to evening. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with this, I want to urge my colleagues to support this, and I also want to urge the President to appoint more politicians to these very important diplomatic engagements. I support this appointment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The 1 hour is over. Mover.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much, honorable colleagues, for your contribution. They are very enriching. If you noticed, Honorable Speaker, I did not interrupt most of the comments from honorable members, because it makes our committee even more better, enriching us with thoughts that we will reflect with the product that we'll be bringing to the House even in future. And I want to thank my committee, able committee, for their contribution. It was on recess when we did this, and Honorable Speaker, we had an almost 99% presence of members. I want to appreciate our committee, parliamentary staff, the entire secretariat that worked with us for this report. Honorable Speaker, without much ado, I beg to reply. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Members on their feet, take your seats. Take your seats, Wamurada. Honorable members, I now put the question at order number 10, which is that, taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations in its report on the vetting of the nominees for appointment as Ambassador, Permanent Representative and Consul General, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 16th January 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 132(2)(e) of the Constitution, Section 22 of the Foreign Services Act, Cap 185(e), and Sections 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, this House approves the appointment of the following persons as indicated: Dr. Andrew Karanja, Ambassador, Brasilia, Brazil; Honorable Ababu Namwamba, EGH, Permanent Representative of Kenya to the United Nations Environmental Program, UNEP, United Nations Office at Nairobi, UNON; and Mr. Nur Yaro Gabo, CBS, as Consul General, Port-au-Prince, Haiti. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 11, special motion, consideration of nominees for appointment to the Public Service Commission.
Karemba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move the following special motion, that taking into consideration of the findings of the Departmental Committee on Labor in its report on the approval hearings of nominees for appointment as Vice Chairperson and as members of the Public Service Commission, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 16th January 2025, and pursuant to Article 233 subsection 2 and section 3 and section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, CAP 7F. This House approves the appointment of A. Mrs. Mary Wanjera Kimonye, CBS, as the Vice Chairperson of the Public Service Commission. B. The following nominees as members of the Public Service Commission. 1. Mr. Harun Malim Hassan, PWD, EBS. 2. Ms. Monamaka Amani Mabruki, CBS. 3. Mr. Francis Major. 4. Dr. Irene Cherotich Asienga, OGW. 5. Mr. Mboya Molu, EBS. 6. Ms. Joan Andisi Machayo, OGW. And lastly, number 7, Dr. Francis Otieno Owino, CBS. So, Honorable Speaker, I wish to confirm to this House, and as I tabled the report earlier today, that the committee sat down earlier this week, that is on the 9th, and conducted the vetting exercise. And we made our observations on the suitability of the nominees, and I wish to confirm to this House that, Honorable Speaker, that the nominees are suitable for the positions, the Vice Chair of the Public Service Commission, and also the members. All the nominees are Kenyan citizens and do not hold dual citizenship. Then also, the nominees presented the academic credentials and professional certificates during the approval hearings, and I wish to confirm to the honorable members here that they are adequately well educated. The committee noted that. Then also, none of the nominees holds any office in any political party. Honorable Speaker, we were able to ascertain that there is none of the nominees holds a political party office or even contested for any position. Then also the nominees, none of the nominees had been dismissed from office under Article 75 of the Constitution. Then also, Honorable Speaker, the nominees met the requirements of Chapter 6 of the Constitution on leadership and integrity, having obtained clearance from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, the KRA, the DCI, and the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, ORPP, and also the institution of the Higher Education Laws Board. Honorable Speaker, the nominees demonstrated an impressive grasp of topical, administrative, and technical issues touching on the office of the Vice Chairperson and members of the Public Service Commission. Honorable Speaker, it is good to note that majority of these nominees are people who have served previously in government and they have a wide experience. The nominee for the Vice Chair has been a PS and has served in government for many years, and we were able to establish that she has a lot of experience in public service. Then also all the members, some of them have actually been PSs before. A person who has been a PS before, Honorable Speaker, is a person who has adequate knowledge on how government works. And Honorable Speaker, even as we discuss these nominees, it's good to say that the committee was also able to establish that they understand, or there are people who understand the challenges of the Public Service Commission, and we believe that they will be able to deal with the current and also the future challenges of the Public Service Commission, and make sure that the Public Service Commission is a commission that is desired across the country, or Kenyans will be proud of the Public Service Commission like other places in the world. So, Honorable Speaker, in the view of the above, on behalf of the Departmental Committee on Labor, I am happy to move this special motion on the consideration of the nominees for appointment as members of the Public Service Commission. I beg to move and now request the Honorable Leah Sankaire to second.
Excellent. Leah, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support this report from the Committee on Labor, which I'm also a member. Mr. Speaker, the members vetted displayed exemplary skills in public service, and they had very vast knowledge in public service. Mr. Speaker, most of them, as my chair said, having served in various positions in this Republic of Kenya in different portfolios, including the PSS, Mr. Speaker, previously are well conversant with various challenges in the public service, and they also gave proposals on how to solve the issues. And Mr. Speaker, we were happy with the vast knowledge that they have in the public service. Mr. Speaker, we have no doubt that upon their appointment, they will improve the service delivery and restore public trust to the public service. Mr. Speaker, I'm particularly drawn to one member, Mr. Francis Major, who hails from Kajiado County. Having worked before as a director in NTSA, he displayed exemplary leadership skills there and automated most of the systems there, which we actually enjoy today as Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, all the nominees were actually people with vast knowledge, and we are certain that they will transform the leadership. They will transform the service delivery in public service. Mr. Speaker, with this, I beg to support the report, and thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Members on their feet, take your seats. Honorable members, I now propose the question at order number 11, which is that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Labor and in its report on the vetting of nominees for appointment as Vice Chairperson and as members of the Public Service Commission, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 16 January 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 2332 of the Constitution and Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, this House approves the appointment of the following persons to the Public Service Commission: Mrs. Mary Wanjira Kimonye, CBS, Vice Chairperson; Mr. Harun Maalim Hassan, Member; Ms. Mwanamaka Amani Mabruki, CBS, Member; Mr. Francis Major, Member; Dr. Irene Cherotich Asiega, Member; Mr. Boya Molu, EBS, Member; Ms. Joan Andisi Machayo, Member; and Dr. Francis Otieno Owino, CBS, Member. Is it the mood that we put the question? Yes. Yes, Yusuf, you don't want to agree with the rest of the members? Let me put the question on the proposal. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I stand to support the report of the committee. I think this is one of the most diverse commission that the Public Service Commission has ever had. From the national cohesion and equal opportunity point of view, you see someone from Northeastern, my constituency, is the first time in the history of Kenya represented in this commission. You see someone from Upper Eastern, you see from Rift Valley, you see from Nyanza, which means that this is a well-mixed And since this is the commission that looks at the public service employment and recruitment, and then we expect the outcomes will be quite different what used to be. Last year, my committee, National Cohesion and Equal Opportunity, we audited the Public Service Commission. We looked at the previous recruitments, and the issue was very pathetic. There was too much leaning to some parts of this country, while others were not actually represented. So by having representatives of the commission, we expect in future the products of this will be the same. Marginalized people have been considered, minority communities have been considered, gender has been considered, and in particular, Harun Malim Hassan, who is a permanently disabled person, who hails from my constituency, and who from childhood has been
Order, Yusuf. Yes, a member for Bumula.
Whereas I have no personal issue with anybody on that list, is the member in order to say, to mislead the House that the list reflects diversity, when we have a chairman and a vice chairman coming from the same region? Honorable Speaker, is the member in order to mislead Mushiri and Wanjiru? Kimonye, to be specific, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is no chair on this list which we are discussing today. So I'm talking of those commissioners which have just been named here, the ones to be a commissioner soon. So no chair is here, and therefore I don't know who the chair is. And the ones I'm looking at are well representatives of this country. As I was saying, that I sincerely thank the appointing authorities for once having considered somebody from Mandera West as a commissioner of public service commission. Yeah?
You've made your point. You are repeating yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. With these remarks, I support the committee's findings. Thank you so much.
Zamzam. And you are not supporting the findings of the committee, you are supporting the motion before the House.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi niweze kuunga mkono hawa walioteuliwa Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwanza nikiweza kumpongeza dada yetu mwanamwaka Amani Mabruk ambaye anatoka katika jimbo la Mombasa. Ni mwanamke ambaye ni msomi, mpole, mchapakazi ambaye ameweza kuhudumia public service miaka mingi na ni mtu ambaye tunamwamini. Mimi nataka kuambia wote walioteuliwa Mheshimiwa Spika kuwa waweze kuhudumia jamii bila kuwa na upendeleo Mheshimiwa Spika. Nikimwangalia huyu Harun Maalim amekuwa ni mtetezi sana wa watu wanaoishi na ulemavu, na nina imani nafasi hii ambayo amepewa Mheshimiwa Spika itamwezesha kuweza kuhudumia walemavu kwa njia ambayo ni sawa Mheshimiwa Spika. Sijui mambo ya vice chairman na chair wake, lakini kama ni kweli Mheshimiwa Spika, japokuwa majina hayako hapa, ingekuwa vizuri kama naibu wake angekuwa anatoka sehemu nyingine ili tuweze kuchanganya, lakini hata hivyo yule ambaye anaweza kupewa kazi Mheshimiwa Spika apewe kazi, afanyie Wakenya wote kazi. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to be very brief and I rise to support the motion. And Mr. Speaker, the executive errors in many times by bringing bad appointees. In this case, regional diversity can be seen. I want to single out the Honorable Mr. Francis Major, who hails from Kajiado, former Registrar of Motor Vehicle, former CEO and MD for National Transport and Safety Authority, a gentleman who has served very well. And I think for the Honorable Ichongwa and the Honorable Soro, now on this one, I think you can sing the song Kasongo. It now sails better in this one. With those many remarks, I wish to support the motion before the floor, and you can sing Kasongo Nebali Nangai.
Yes.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to seek clarity from the Honorable Gogoyo on the relevance of the Sonka Songo in regard to the appointment and the motion that is before the House, Honorable Speaker.
He's out of order as being cheeky and irrelevant. Go on, Makale Mulu.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me also join my colleagues and support this motion. But as I support this motion, Honorable Speaker, just want to make about 3 observations. The first, Honorable Speaker, is that the public service in this country is facing quite a number of challenges. And I wish that this new commission will be able to address those challenges, and more so, the challenge of succession. We have a situation where we have a very elderly people and we have very young people, but in between, Honorable Speaker, there is a gap. This matter has been discussed for quite some time, and I think really as a country, we need to make sure that this one, we get it right for purposes of effective public service. The second matter, Honorable Speaker, is the matter which I raised the other time we were discussing the 2 commissions, IPOA and the other commission. Honorable Speaker, as a House, our work is oversight. And I see some of our colleagues getting very excited when they see people coming from their regions being in the list. But I think as House, Honorable Speaker, it is important that we look at the totality of these commissions. I don't know how that can be done, because I don't know whether at the point of the committee level, we ask ourselves, who else is in which committee or in which commission? So how I wish, Honorable Speaker, as a House, we could be able to get the listing of the constitutional commissions and who is currently sitting in those commissions. That will help this country in terms of ensuring that there's regional balancing. Because I think our members raised a very important point of order, Honorable Speaker. In a situation where you have a commission, a high-ranking commission like Public Service Commission, which is almost equivalent like the one you chair, Honorable Speaker, the Parliamentary Service Commission, and you have a chair and a vice chair coming from the same region, Honorable Speaker, I don't think Kenya is short of professionals who can sit on these some things. So the issue of balancing and also for effective management, so that Kenyans don't appear like some sections have been left out and others are in, Honorable Speaker. I think as a House we need to start paying a bit of attention to these details because it will help the process. The last point, Honorable Speaker, is the Public Service Commission is also, I think, it's supposed to be taking care of capacity building. Honorable Speaker, a number of these senior public servants, I think as a House we need to think about supporting them with a budget to build their capacity building. Some of them have been in employment for so long, they never get a chance to be trained to upgrade their skills. And the challenge has always been, the Speaker, been, anytime we want to reduce the budget, we talk about training budget being a recurrent budget, and it's always been removed from the budgets. So at the end of the day, you have very well-trained officers, but they are not getting upgrading training short courses to upgrade their skills. So that's another area as a House. We need to make sure that when we are reducing the budgets, because at the end of the day, Honorable Speaker, we will reduce the budget, that we don't really reduce the budget for training, because this is how you get to improve the skills of these public servants. With those remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support.
Russell.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I really want to be brief. First of all, the Public Service Commission is almost the principal commission, constitutional commission, that employs. When we say that the civil service is actually lopsided, it's because Public Service Commission is not doing a good job. Secondly, it is about promotion. In most of the senior cadres, you must appear before the Public Service Commission to get a particular appointment in government. Thirdly, it is about the face of this country. If you don't have somebody in the Public Service Commission, the chances of you getting to a position that you desire is actually very rare, and sometimes it's like walking in the desert. Honorable Speaker, I want to say this as a parting shot. Once this commission is in place, they must visit all parts of this country and get views in terms of what is the representation, why are certain communities not in government. With those few remarks, I say, Honorable Speaker, thank you very much.
Daud? Yes. Hold, Daud. Yes, Honorable Chepkonga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I see that we have unanimity in terms of the approval. Would I be in order, under the standing orders, Mr. Speaker, that the mover be called to reply or the question be put? Mr. Speaker, you know we have just come out of our recess. And Mr. Speaker, I think it would only be fair that the question be, because we are all in agreement. There's nobody who is opposing. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I had already given Daud. Let me have him.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'll be brief as well. Mr. Speaker, I want to support the motion. The Vice Chair, Mrs. Mary Kimonye, is my neighbor, and I know she's worked in the public service for many, many years, and she's capable of that. What I want to disabuse the notion by Honorable Wamboka that she comes from the same region with the chair, whereas the chair comes from the central region and Mary Kimonye comes from eastern region. So it's not the same region. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I want to support the nomination of Major, who was the NTSA DG, together with Mr. Bolu, who has got a vast experience. Mr. Speaker, I just want to ask the new commissioners to put into place my bill, which I brought to this House, which has been passed, Values and Principles of Public Service, to actualize it what Honorable Raso has talked about. And if they can do that, then they will have done a lot of good. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support.
Owen Baya. We'll give
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I just want to congratulate the members that have been nominated. I also congratulate the committee for a good job, but also to say that I want to thank the President, the appointing authority, for looking at gender. You can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 members that are ladies in this commission. I think that is very good in promoting gender in this country. But also to thank the President for actually giving us a lady from the coast that will stand in the public service. But I also want to say that public service is the engine of government. So they have a duty to ensure efficiency and effectiveness in management of government if they do a good job. If they don't do a good job in terms of recruitment, then they will fail the country. So I want to tell them that they have their cloth cut for them. They need to do a good job so that public service in this country can take off and be that efficient public service that can be respected in the world. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Members, can we call the mover to reply? I put the question that the mover be called upon to reply. As many as of that opinion say aye. Aye. Those with a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Karemba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I wish to thank the honorable members who have added their voices to this motion and in support of it. Indeed, the committee did its work, and I also wish to thank the honorable members who sat together with me to vet these nominees. Honorable Speaker, I also wish to wish the incoming commissioners and the Vice Chair all the best as they execute their duties as the new commissioners of the Public Service Commission, and hope that they will take this country forward in the spaces that they will be occupying. Honorable Speaker, I am also drawn, my attention is also drawn, like that of Honorable Daud, to the sentiments made by one Honorable Wamboka. You know, for those of us who come from Eastern region, we always don't like it, Honorable Speaker, when we are referred to as people coming from one region. The Vice Chair comes from the county of Meru, whereas Meru and...
Honorable Karemba, you are the chair of the committee. If you now want to delve in the rigmarole of sectarian politics,
Honorable Speaker,
it is not right.
I'm not trying to move into that space. I'm only trying to insinuate
The
that...
good lawyer next to you should advise you.
All right.
It's not an issue.
All right, so, Honorable Speaker, I wish to thank all the members who have added their voices to this motion, and I beg to reply, Honorable Speaker.
That is better. Don't be tempted to draw yourself into sectarian politics. Honorable members, I now put the question at order number 11, which is that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Labor in its report on the vetting of nominees for appointment as Vice Chairperson and as members of the Public Service Commission laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 16 January 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 2332 of the Constitution and Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, this House approves the appointment of the following persons to the Public Service Commission. Mrs. Mary Wanjira Kimonye, CBS, Vice Chairperson. Mr. Harun Maalim Hassan, Member. Ms. Mwanamaka Amani Mabruki, CBS, Member. Mr. Francis Major, Member. Dr. Irene Cherotich Asiega, Member. Mr. Boya Molu, EBS, Member. Ms. Joan Andisi Machayo, Member. And Dr. Francis Otieno Owino, CBS, Member. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Order Whip and Bashir. You cannot be engaging on the floor when the speaker was on his feet. If you stood there and froze, it would have been, but you are chatting away with the good lady from Aldai. Yes, you must maintain studious silence. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. Dr. Nyikal, can you check what Honorable Kajwang has been consuming for lunch? Next order.
Order number 12, special motion. Consideration of nominees for appointment as cabinet secretaries.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you know Dr. Nyikal is a very good medical doctor, and therefore you are very right. He could check what, if there is any problem with the Honorable TJ Kajwang, who we cannot afford to be in this house without. So Dr. Nyikal must ensure he's okay. Honorable Speaker, allow me to move that taking into consideration the findings of the Committee on Appointments in its fourth report on the vetting of the nominees for appointment as cabinet secretaries laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 16 January 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Articles 152(2) of the Constitution and Sections 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F. This House approves the appointment of the following persons as cabinet secretaries. 1, the Honorable Mutahi Kagwe, EGH, as a minister or the cabinet secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development. 2, the Honorable William Kabogo, as the cabinet secretary in charge of Information Communications and Digital Economy Ministry. And 3, the Honorable Lee Kinyanjui, as a cabinet secretary in the Ministry of Investments, Trade and Industry. Honorable Speaker, allow me to take this opportunity first to thank you as the chair of the Appointments Committee and all the 20 members of the Parliamentary Appointments Committee who took their time, Honorable Speaker, during the recess to come and vet these 3 cabinet nominees, even as I thank all the members of this House who have heeded to the call for a special sitting today to approve the motions that we've just approved, that of SRC, the Public Service Commission, the ambassadors who are being designated to serve our country in different destinations around the world. And lastly, this motion, Honorable Speaker, to approve these 3 cabinet secretaries to serve in those three ministries, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, having and Kenyans watched as we vetted these three cabinet nominees. And these nominees, Honorable Speaker, are not new in the public service. The Honorable Mutahi Kagwe has been a minister right from the Kibaki time when he served as minister for 2 years as minister for ICT, or what was then the Ministry of Communications and Information and Communication, Honorable Speaker. He then served as Minister for Health at a very challenging time during the COVID outbreak, Honorable Speaker. And many Kenyans will remember the Honorable Mutahi Kagwe as a COVID-era minister. And he cut his niche, especially with his very good communication skills, always updating the country on the status of the pandemic in the country, Honorable Speaker. And I remember my own daughter, who was then only 2 years old, whenever he saw either CS Mutahi Kagwe or the then CAS, Dr. Mwangangi, Masi Mwangangi, she would tell me, COVID. And in my house, Mutahi Kagwe was christened the COVID minister. But he did a splendid job during that time, Honorable Speaker, and I'm glad that some of the issues that bedeviled his term, part of it being the COVID billionaire scandal, he was able to be confronted with those questions during the vetting process and adequately or sufficiently answered all the issues that pertained to that time, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'm saying this because all the other nominees, the Honorable William Kabogo Getao is the first governor of Kiambu County, Honorable Speaker. The Honorable Lee Kinyanjui is the second governor of Nakuru County. Honorable Speaker, as much as these two gentlemen never made it back to serve their second terms, during their terms as governors, there are things you could see both in Kiambu County, where I come from, and I say this, Honorable Speaker, knowing that I had run-ins with the Honorable Kabogo when he was governor for Kiambu. And it was nothing ever personal, it was all in the course of business in politics, Honorable Speaker. But I can say today, so far, of all the governors who have served the county of Kiambu in terms of performance, William Getao Kabogo ranks #1 in terms of performance. Second is Governor Nyoro. Of course, the current governor and Governor Waitito, I can't even begin to rank them, Honorable Speaker. The Honorable Lee Kinyanjui, Honorable Speaker, midwifed. I don't know who that is. The Honorable Lee Kinyanjui, Lee Mayan Kinyanjui.
Yes, Janet. What's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker.
Give him the mic.
Mr. Speaker, is it in order for the majority leader to become a pollster and say that, to mislead the House that Governor Kabogo was the best, when he knows that there is a sitting governor here in the county now who's serving the county called Governor Wamatangi? And when I asked him about him, he told me, I don't know that one. Mr. Speaker, when did that change? And has Mr. Wamatangi left being the governor of Kiambu, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, let's be fair. Mr. Kabogo might have done a good job, but Mr. Wamatangi, can you tell us something about Mr. Wamatangi?
Honorable Speaker, I hear my leader of minority, and Honorable Speaker, you know, I am speaking about the nominees in this list, and there are two governors, Governor Kabogo and Governor Lee Mayani Kinyanjui. And therefore, I also said, having knowledge and being a constituent in Kiambu County, I am capable of ranking, not as a pollster, the performance in terms of output and actual performance on delivery of services to the people of Kiambu County. And Governor Getao Kabogo William ranks #1 so far. Governor Wamatangi has time. He's the current governor.
He is now competing with Governor Waitito in terms of who will perform better. But so far, Governor Kabogo and Governor Nyoro have done
exceptionally well. Honorable Speaker, and you can ask anybody from Kiambu County, they will vindicate me. I'll stand vindicated by the people of Kiambu. The people of Nakuru County also vindicate me when I say, Honorable Speaker, and Kenyans know that Governor Lee Kinyanjui midwifed the ascension of Nakuru County from a municipality into the city that Nakuru County is today. And these are not people, as I said, Honorable Speaker, who are new to public service. They are seasoned politicians, seasoned public officers, and I want to pray and hope that when they take over their offices, whether it is Mutahi Kagwe in the Ministry of Agriculture, whether it is Lee Kinyanjui in the Ministry of Trade and Industry, whether it is Gitau Kabogo in the Ministry of Speaker, that they will serve all the people of this country with the dedication and commitment that we have seen them serve in the various other capacities that they have served the nation in, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there are challenges, both in ICT, Honorable Speaker, with the rollout of the fiber optic cable, and ensuring what the Honorable Pukose said during the vetting process, to ensure that the far-flung corners and districts of our country are also connected to the internet, Honorable Speaker. And Governor Kabogo, or now CS nominee Kabogo, if approved by this House, has a challenge to ensure that every corner of this country, Honorable Speaker, has internet accessibility, not just to ensure that people are getting government services through e-citizen, Honorable Speaker, but also to ensure that Kenyans who are telling that you can finya computer upate dollar can able to work online from any corner of this country. You do not need to be in an urban area to be able to access internet services, Honorable Speaker, but even those in Elwak, those in Karachuonyo, those in far-flung corners of Turkana County, Honorable Speaker, can also be able to access internet services. And I am happy during the vetting process, Governor Kabogo was able to articulate that in those far-flung areas where they cannot be able to get accessibility through the fiber optic cable, he will explore new technology like the Starlink technology that is there to ensure that people are able to access internet connectivity and jobs, Honorable Speaker, and also create some sanity within the digital space, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Mutahi Kagwe has his work cut out, Honorable Speaker, and I'm happy that during the vetting process he was able to very well articulate the challenges that bedevil our agricultural sector, the connectivity between productivity in the agricultural sector, access to markets, and making agriculture profitable to farmers. And Honorable Speaker, I am glad that he was able to articulate how he will work and be able to make agriculture profitable, ensure that our country is food secure, and ensure that our farmers access markets, not just for their tea, coffee, milk, pyrethrum, even potato farmers or sugarcane farmers, Honorable Speaker, that are able to access markets and access good prices for their produce, Honorable Speaker. I pray, as I challenge the Honorable Mutahi Kagwe during the vetting, that he will not be swallowed by the cartels that have swallowed even other bigger people, not just in that ministry, but even in bigger offices, Honorable Speaker. You know there are people who are given the responsibility in this country to midwife the access to markets for our coffee farmers and our tea farmers. But they went and became cartels themselves, Honorable Speaker. We have had tales, Honorable Speaker, in this country, where somebody was demanding 3 shillings per kilogram of coffee being exported or being sold out of this country. I want to pray that the Honorable Mutahi Kagwe will serve with the diligence that he served in the ministries that he served before in this agriculture ministry, and with the integrity that we have seen him serve with before. The Honorable Lee Kinyanjui, my good friend from Nakuru County, as I said, did well in Nakuru County, but now he has his work cut out for him. Trade and industry, Honorable Speaker, and the State Department for Investments now fall on his shoulders. And he has rather broad shoulders, and I want to believe that those shoulders of Lee Kinyanjui will be able to carry this ministry to the next level where it ought to be. Honorable Speaker, it is shameful that 20 years ago, or even less than 20 years ago, our country was leading in terms of our percentage of manufacturing as a percentage of our GDP. Kenya in the region, not just in East Africa, but in East, Central, and almost Southern Africa, with the exception of Botswana and South Africa, Kenya had the highest percentage in terms of manufacturing contribution to our GDP. But today, Honorable Speaker, neighboring countries like Uganda, that were largely importing manufactured goods from Kenya, are ahead of us. If you look at the 2023 statistics, Honorable Speaker, Uganda's manufacturing industry has grown to contribute at least 15.65% to their GDP, whereas Kenya's is at a level of about 7.3%, almost actually half or less than half that of Uganda. When and how Uganda overtook us in manufacturing, Honorable Speaker, is a challenge that Lee Kinyanjui has to reverse that. There is no sector that can create more jobs than the manufacturing sector, Honorable Speaker. And I want to believe with the increased productivity in agriculture, with the good technology and technical skills amongst the youth in this country, Honorable Speaker, if we are able to leverage on that, Honorable Speaker, it is possible then to grow industries and manufacturing that will grow, increase our GDP, Honorable Speaker, and also increase our manufacturing sector's contribution to our GDP almost threefold to at least 20%, Honorable Speaker. We have stagnated about 7% for the last almost 10, 12 years. And time is nigh, Honorable Speaker, and I want to believe that the Honorable Lee Kinyanjui has what it takes. And I have confidence that these three cabinet secretaries, Honorable Speaker, have what it takes to move us to where we want to be as a nation. And in terms of implementing the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Honorable Speaker, I know there are issues, and I want to note that there are memoranda that were filed before the Appointments Committee, which we all considered. The nominees were given this memoranda, and they responded to them. And one of the salient issues in this memoranda was the question of two-thirds gender rule, Honorable Speaker. And as members know, and it's good to inform the country, that we look at the cabinet composition in its totality, not these three nominees. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, in terms of adherence to that two-thirds gender rule, we are doing well, and I want to believe, because there are still slots that are available in the cabinet, to ask the President, His Excellency President William Ruto, that is in his next appointments, to ensure that there are at least both genders, not just one gender, to ensure that we truly conform to the two-thirds gender rule. But as we are, Honorable Speaker, even without the full composition of cabinet, we have done well with at least 6 cabinet secretaries, including the Attorney General, as ladies, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in terms of regional balance, it is true, Honorable Speaker, and there are issues that were raised that these 3 nominees, again, hail from one region. And it's true, Honorable Speaker, they all hail from one region. But again, we look at the totality of the composition of cabinet in totality, and you will see that it goes very well with our population numbers. The representation of our communities and various regions in cabinet is well represented, Honorable Speaker. And that also, Speaker, should shut those who, Honorable Speaker, have been intent on inciting the people of this region where these members come from. I know, Honorable Speaker, there are those who have said that Mount Kenya region was being represented in cabinet by people who are not known. But there are people and Kenyans who also deserve to serve in cabinet, Honorable Speaker. And some of those people, like Dr. Andrew Karanja, you remember when he was appointed, with a very good CV, and I'm glad the President has given him an opportunity to go and serve the country in Brazil, and all the other cabinet secretaries who had been appointed earlier, Honorable Speaker, and who are capable and can serve in other capacities. These 3 gentlemen, the Honorable Mutahi Kagwe, the Honorable William Kabogo, and the Honorable Lee Kinyanjui, are not coming in to serve the people of Mount Kenya. Agriculture is not in Mount Kenya. ICT is not in Mount Kenya alone. Neither is trade and industry or investments. These are dockets where they are coming to serve all the people of Kenya as cabinet secretaries. And I want to encourage them to serve the people of Kenya without any regard to the regions they come from, to serve people fairly and equally. Consider the people of Marsabit in agriculture, whether it is in their pastoralist activities, in the livestock department, the State Department is under that ministry. Consider them as well as you consider the people of Othaya with their coffee, or the people of Kiambu in Limuru with their tea, or indeed the people of Kikuyu with our potatoes and small-scale farming, Honorable Speaker, because we live on 50 by hundreds. and of course, the people who are producing livestock. We are key stakeholders because we are also butchers in Dagoretti. And Honorable Speaker, I'm saying that so that all these cabinet secretaries come to serve us as Kenyans. And nobody should ever look at them on the basis of the regions where they come from. I know there are others who may have wanted and tempted even cabinet secretaries. And it is sad, Honorable Speaker, that today we even have cabinet secretaries who get tempted to playing to the public gallery, excite emotions on the basis of ethnicity and regions they come from, inciting communities against communities. And Honorable Speaker, it is sad. And I want to pray that these three gentlemen, because during the vetting process, they are able to show that they look at Kenya as one unitary state. They will serve the people of Kenya without regard to where anybody comes from or whatever language any Kenyan speaks, and serve them as Kenyans. I wish them all the best, Honorable Speaker, and I want to implore on all of us to approve these three cabinet secretaries so that cabinet may be not fully constituted, but at least those who are acting can now hand over, and hopefully the next cabinet meeting, they will have been sworn in and take over the service of serving Kenyans. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move, and I want to request the Leader of Minority, the Honorable Junet Mohammed, who also sits in the Appointments Committee, to second the motion in agreement. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Junet.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to second this motion for the adoption of the fourth report of the Committee on Appointment on the approval hearings of nominees for appointment as Cabinet Secretaries, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as the Majority Leader has alluded to, I sit the committee that is chaired by yourself of appointment and approval, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, through that, I interacted with the nominees, Mr. Speaker, the three cabinet nominees, secretary nominees, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I came to realize that people who go through elective positions, Mr. Speaker, people who are elected by the people of Kenya as MCAs, as members of parliament, as governors, Mr. Speaker, those are people who are really tried and tested. And those are people who really can show leadership when it is required, Mr. Speaker, compared to people who have not held elective positions, Mr. Speaker. And I'm not trying to say that because I've been elected several times. Mr. Speaker, these three nominees have shown immense knowledge. They have shown immense knowledge and experience, Mr. Speaker, in terms of handling public affairs. And why that happened is because some of them ran or managed some of the largest counties in the country, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Lee Kinyanjui was the governor of Nakuru. And Nakuru, Mr. Speaker, is one of the largest counties in the country, even in terms of population. That has given that man a lot of experience from what I saw when he appeared before the committee. Honorable Kabogo also, Mr. Speaker, has managed one of the largest counties. And as you can see, a member here, the Majority Leader, has testified that he has done a good job when he was the governor of that county. Mr. Speaker, that has given them a lot of experience. And the other nominee has been a cabinet secretary. He has been the senator of Nyeri. He has been a cabinet secretary at a very difficult time when this country had a pandemic, the coronavirus, Mr. Speaker, and he handled it very well. And the country saved, through that, a lot of lives were saved, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, that public service has impacted a lot of knowledge and experience on these three gentlemen, Mr. Speaker. I don't think they could have been better people to serve in these ministries than those people, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you see, public service, Mr. Speaker, is a calling, and I've said that many times. And you should be able to do it so long as you've been given an opportunity, Majority Leader. But when you feel a time has come, and you feel that the executive that you are part of, and you feel that the president that you are serving, and the government that you are serving, is not incompatible, the policies or your belief at the moment, at this point in time, is not compatible with the government you are serving, the best thing to do, Mr. Speaker, is to resign. Don't bring commotions. Don't bring unnecessary fights within the government. Be a man enough and say, this is enough now. I don't think, the way you've said, I don't think what is happening now is not what I came to do. For that reason, I want to leave. It's only in African societies or in African democracies where somebody disagrees with the policies, disagrees with what's happening in a government, and he still wants to stay there. To do what? Somebody told me, an African man, if you give him the keys to the washrooms and tell him, can you use it and bring it back to me, he will put it in his pocket and tell you, no, you tell me when you need it is when I'll give you back. Mr. Speaker, only in African societies. Wamumbi, can you give us time? I want the majority leader to listen to what I'm saying. So if you no longer believe in what the government is doing and you're a cabinet secretary, just resign. You are not welded there like chuma, like an iron. You are not welded in government. Just leave. You know, the other time when we were impeaching the deputy president, somebody told me that he was asked, why can't you resign now that members of parliament have lost faith in you? A pastor in his home told him that you have been put there by God. You must remain there until you are removed by God. Now God spoke through angels to the members of parliament and they removed him. And God's work happened in this parliament, Mr. Speaker. Somebody told him that you are put there by God. Only God can remove you. Pana. God can remove you in many ways. Impeachment comes from God. Because by the time 300 members of parliament agree on something, it's the hand of God. It's the work of God. It's the voice of God. So, Mr. Speaker, if don't wait for God to come to your house to talk to you. If you think you cannot serve the government anymore, go do farming. Go do other things, Mr. Speaker. Or become something else. Become a professional. If you're a lawyer, go and open a law firm and serve the country that sphere, Mr. Speaker. Because you cannot be a cabinet secretary who is issuing contrary views to what your government is saying. It's immoral, actually. The other day I saw a good friend of mine, whom I learned a lot of things under him, who was sitting on the chair where Mr. Speaker is sitting, Mr. Speaker. And I learned everything I'm doing in this house under his, Mr. Speaker, under his supervision. And that's not what he taught me when he was a speaker. He told me, Junaid, if you are tired of something, leave. But now the same person is now accusing the same people he's serving of many things, and he wants to remain there and stay there, Mr. Speaker. It only happens in Africa. It cannot happen. And targeting communities, targeting people of certain, community, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, is very unfair. And I am a leader now in this country. Because I'm a minority leader. That's a constitutional office under Article 108. If my son is arrested by police, I should also tell the country why my son was arrested. I can't just say my son was arrested by so and so. Give the reasons why he was arrested. And then why do you wait for 7 months so that you tell Kenyans why your son was arrested? Why don't you tell them the day he was released that my son was arrested, and then you drop names. You say I went to the president and the president told me that I called so and so. My friend, where is this secrecy of oath? It's called what? Oath of secrecy. Why can't you discuss things at that level with the people who are concerned? Now, if you have the opportunity to go and see the president, to go and see people who are high offices, Kenyans who cannot access those places, how are they going to be served? What kind of, as a leader, what kind of trend are you setting? That anybody who wants to get help must go there. We cannot run, a country cannot be run like that, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I hope these cabinet secretaries who are being approved in this house today will not behave in the same manner. Because, when that becomes now the modus operandi, Mr. Speaker, we will not have a cabinet. We don't need to waste our time in this house approving people who are going to defy the same government they want to go and serve. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that that kind of manners should not be allowed in any society. Because you must be somebody who stands for something. If you strongly feel that what's happening is wrong, leave. People in mature democracies, they live even over something smaller than this. So, Mr. Speaker, coming back to the point, is that I want to say these three gentlemen, Mr. Speaker, whom we are approving today, are not also going to represent certain regions. Cabinet secretaries are appointed to serve the Republic of Kenya. Every Kenyan, Mr. Speaker, deserve their service, Mr. Speaker. If you are going to behave like the way people we have impeached, and then start talking about, you come to my constituency and you bring me salamu from your home, I will just chase you away. Mr. Speaker, dismissal of cabinet secretaries is not only the prerogative of the president. This House has constitutional mandate also to dismiss cabinet secretaries, the way we are approving them. So if you behave in a very tribalistic manner, you behave in an awkward manner, then nothing stops us from filing an impeachment motion and removing you from office, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if you believed the people you are saying abducted your son, and the Kenyans, and you took 7 months, Mr. Speaker, to tell Kenyans what happened, who will believe you now? Because, 7 months is a long period of time. I'm sorry to say, I called a police officer, under the privilege of the House. I was told people are arrested over many things. You can be arrested because you are dealing in drugs, you are dealing in money laundering. You can be arrested in many things. Arresting is not abduction. We have to condemn abduction, but we cannot condemn arresting. Yeah, police officers are paid, they earn salaries so that they can arrest people. That's their work. If I break the law today, they will arrest me. But we must condemn abduction, but we cannot condemn arrest. Arrests are legal. They are legal in our laws for a policeman to arrest me and to arrest anybody else. Mr. Speaker, so I want to emphasize on the issue that cabinet secretaries must serve all Kenyans. If you want to serve your village, go and become an MCA. Don't become a minister or a chief. Like the way I see now, there's a senior chief now who's meeting people in Wamunyoro. Every day they are meeting there. You are now just local chief there, just meeting people there. You expect me to travel all the way from Nairobi to go and meet somebody in that village. What is the name of that village? Wamunyoro. I can't go, Mr. Speaker. So if you want to be like that, just go to your village. But if you want to serve Kenyans, if your desire is to serve Kenyans as a cabinet secretary, then serve all Kenyans, irrespective of their region, irrespective of their community, irrespective of their service, of religion.
Yes, member from Madira. Junaid, do you want to be informed?
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Especially from somebody from Wamunyoro village, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. I want to inform Honorable Junet that Wamunyoro is a very good village in Madera constituency. And in that village there is a chief who is a very good man who serves people, all the people, in dignity. It is only one man, disgruntled, who is meeting people with long beards who don't know where they are going. So let's not discuss Wamunyoro. Wamunyoro is a good village. It's only one man who don't know where he is going or where he is coming from, who is disgruntled and he doesn't know where he is going or coming from. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Member of Parliament for Madeira for informing me that Wamunyoro is a very good place. I have not visited Wamunyoro yet. I need to pay a courtesy call to him so that I can see how good Wamunyoro is, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, why am I using Wamunyoro as an example? Mr. Speaker, I cannot travel from a place called Migori in Wothorumo or Wothogik all the way to Wamunyoro so that I can get government services. I must get government services nationally. The minister must come to my place in Gorjope so that he can serve me in Gorjope, not me to go to Wamunyoro, Mr. Speaker. That is why we retired someone to Wamunyoro. And I'm sending a warning to the cabinet secretaries that if you take the behavior of Wamunyoro, if you want to serve only Wamunyoro people, we will sack you. We will impeach you. You must serve all Kenyans. And if you want to serve only your local people, become an MCA. That's where local people, the ward where people are served, Mr. Speaker. Because, Mr. Speaker, there are people who think they have become cabinet secretary to serve their region, or to serve their community, or to serve their tribesmen. No. Cabinet secretary is a national position. If you want to remain as a CS, you must remain national, Mr. Speaker. And I know these three whom we are approving today, they are experienced. These are people, these are national leaders who have served all kinds of Kenyans, because you know Nakuru, almost every community of this country lives in Nakuru. Even in Kiambu nowadays, because it's becoming an extension of Nairobi, many communities stay in Kiambu, Mr. Speaker. These are the kind of leaders we want to have in cabinet. And let me congratulate the president, Mr. Speaker, because in terms of diversity, I don't think there's a president who has gotten it right more than President Ruto, Mr. Speaker. Very few communities now are not on the table of the cabinet, Mr. Speaker. All communities are almost there, Mr. Speaker. Anywhere, any county of almost has a representative now in the cabinet, or in the executive for that matter. That is the kind of country we want to build. That is why ODM has sent experts to the broad-based. And we have more experts to send, Mr. Speaker. That's why we want to send more experts to government, so that diversity can be felt, that diversity can be achieved. But the ones who want to retire to their village in Kanyambora, those ones should let Kenyans do other things, Mr. Speaker. If you want to become the chief of Kanyambora, just go and become the chief of Kanyambora. Don't bring issues here. Oh, so-and-so abducted my son, so-and-so did. No, no, no. Just go and... That will be another Munyoro Center. Just go to Kanyambora Center and stay there, Mr. Speaker. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I support.
Order, take your seat, Owen. Honorable members, I'll now propose the question at order number 12, which is that, taking into consideration the findings of the Committee on Appointments in its fourth report on the vetting of the nominees for appointment as cabinet secretaries, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 16th January 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 152(2) of the Constitution and Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, this House approves the appointment of the following persons as cabinet secretaries. 1, Honorable Mutahi Kagwe, AGH, Agriculture and Livestock Development. Honorable William Kabogo, Information, Communication and the Digital Economy. Honorable Lee Kinyanjui, Investments, Trade and Industry. Yes, Wangwe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me to first and foremost support this motion of consideration for the appointment of the cabinet secretaries. And Honorable Speaker, thank the President for taking his time and getting the right candidates for this position. Honorable Speaker, I have a view that the three candidates, and I will enumerate in particular the Honorable Mutahi Kagwe, whom I happen to have interacted with prior to this appointment. And Honorable Speaker, I find Honorable Mutahi Kagwe as a very strong candidate for this appointment and feel the performance he displayed, Honorable Speaker, during his position as the Cabinet Secretary in charge of health shall follow suit. The only thing I would wish to comment and recommend to the Cabinet, to the Honorable Mutahi Kagwe, is, Honorable Speaker, to know that all of us are looking forward to him to put agriculture as a sector in order. We want to see, Honorable Speaker, a situation where the aspiration of the President to make sure that sugarcane farmers, Honorable Speaker, are able to earn bonus be fulfilled, Honorable Speaker. We want to see a situation, Honorable Speaker, that the brokers in between, the people who want to affect the chain of distribution in terms of agriculture, Honorable Speaker, is dismantled. We want to see, Honorable Speaker, that Honorable Mutahi Kagwe put his foot down to see that, Honorable Speaker, we don't get fertilizer that is in doubt. Let the government urgent, Honorable Speaker, to give us the fertilizer at 2,500 be implemented and even come more lower. But, Honorable Speaker, we get the right fertilizer for our input. Honorable Speaker, we want to see that the marketing of our product in terms of how to sell it and where to sell is opened more, wider and wider, so that, Honorable Speaker, we see as farmers all what is good to be implemented. And, Honorable Speaker, I want to say that we are now implementing the Sugar Bill, Sugar Act, and I would want to request the Honorable Mutahi Kagwe, should this House consider and approve his nomination, Honorable Speaker, let him make sure it concludes what has been started, so that, Honorable Speaker, we get the sugar sector be very much independent and implemented. Honorable Speaker, speaking on Honorable Liki Nyanjui, I had a privilege of working with him, Honorable Speaker, especially during the previous campaigns, and I found, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Liki Nyanjui as a very astute member of any organization. And him, Honorable Speaker, having been a governor, it's important. I thank him and say, Honorable Speaker, the docket that he's being bestowed on investment, trade and industry is not a small docket, Honorable Speaker. It's a docket that balloons the economy of our country. All what we manufacture, Honorable Speaker, must get the destination, and all what is possible to invest, Honorable Speaker, any small-scale person relies on this docket, Honorable Speaker. We want to see him working hand in hand with the National Treasury to open up the sectors that we need to supply our products. Let us open up the industry sector, the manufacturing sector, so that, Honorable Speaker, we don't just say we want our youth to get employment. Let our youth, Honorable Speaker, get very good employment, especially where foreigners and those people with money can invest in good industries to add value on our produce. As an agricultural economy, Honorable Speaker, we must have where to add value to our produce, and that is where Honorable Liki Nyanjui is going to come in. Honorable Speaker, on the front of ICT, under the Honorable William Kabogo, I don't have a benefit of having worked with him, but having felt him as a governor of Kiambu. He was a forthright, and as well as a member of this House, Honorable Speaker, you could see, I went to the Hansard, and you could see, Honorable Speaker, how astute Honorable Kabogo was on the floor, and how astute, Honorable Speaker, he could force and push issues. We want him, Honorable Speaker, to push that Kenya moves to the next level of ICT. Let us not just be manual, mechanical, rather, Honorable Speaker, move to the next global frontier. Honorable Speaker, we must look at the issue of the internet supply. We must look at the issue of communication. We must look at the issue, Honorable Speaker, that internet is not meant for disabuse. Honorable Speaker, internet is meant for communication. It's not meant for ridicule. Let Honorable Kabogo come in and know that he should be able, Honorable Speaker, to put the provisions as they are supposed to be, so that we have a fair play, so that let everyone who is using the internet use it within the law. It's not an issue of the youth. Many a times, Honorable Speaker, people have said the youth are abusing the internet. That is wrong. Even the elderly, Honorable Speaker, when they speak on the internet platform, they must inform each other rather than abusing each other. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, these nominees stand a good chance, and I will want to say, Honorable Speaker, we approve them so that we all move forward as a country and get our spaces replaced. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I support.
Bowen. Give Kangogo the...
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support the three nominees, Mr. Speaker, for the Cabinet Secretary's position. And Mr. Speaker, I want to say some few things. Starting with the Honorable Kagwe, Mr. Speaker, I want to support this nomination as a Cabinet Secretary. Mr. Speaker, when the Honorable Kagwe was the CS for Health, at a very difficult time, Mr. Speaker, when the country was fighting the COVID-19, he proved himself, Mr. Speaker, that as a capable cabinet secretary in the Ministry of Health then. And Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the Honorable Kakwe as he moves to the Ministry of Agriculture. The agriculture is the backbone of our economy as a country. And Mr. Speaker, in the last few months, the Ministry of Agriculture has been on the wrong for many things, especially the fertilizer. Mr. Speaker, the harvest which we currently many farmers harvested some few months ago, some of them were affected because of the fake fertilizers which was there last year. Mr. Speaker, we want to ask the CS nominee that as he takes over the ministry, once he's approved by this House, to make sure that the Ministry of Agriculture becomes the backbone, Mr. Speaker, and supports the farmers of this country to produce enough for this country. There is no need, Mr. Speaker, when we have almost majority of Kenyans, 90% of our people, they are farmers, and they are getting a little support from the government. Mr. Speaker, the issue number 2, the cartels we have in Ministry of Agriculture, they are quite a number. You will find that farmers, there are so many middlemen. In coffee, in tea, they are not benefiting from their produce. So we want to seek that the cabinet secretary, once he's in that office, is able to help the Kenyan farmers. Mr. Speaker, the issue of ICT and the Honorable Kabogo, if it's approved by this House. I think ICT is an emerging technology, Mr. Speaker, and there are so many challenges, from fraud to hacking to so many things. And there is need to regulate actually the industries. There is a lot to be done in the industry to make sure that the new ICT, the digitization in the country, they are used for the benefit of the people and the young people, and it is not a platform for abuses. It's not a platform for people to make illegal activities. And Mr. Speaker, finally, the Honorable Lee Kinyanjui, we want also to support him in the Ministry of Trade. The trade, Mr. Speaker, our import and export, Mr. Speaker, determines also our balance between a shilling and the dollar. So when we have a lot of export, Mr. Speaker, as a country, you will see that we will benefit from the business of foreign exchange. And currently, I think as a country, we are importing more than what we are exporting. So we expect that the League in Anju, when he comes in, he will take up the ministry to the next level to benefit Kenyan traders. Mr. Speaker, I support the 3 nominees.
Yes, Irene Mayaka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also take this opportunity to support the nominations of the 3 appointees, being the Honorable Mutahi Kagwe, the Honorable Lee Kinyanjui, and the Honorable William Kabogo. Honorable Speaker, these 3 all have one thing in common. They have a wealth of experience. They each have done unique things within the sphere of their previous appointments that make them exceptional. And Honorable Speaker, just as it has been said by our previous members, is that we really want to encourage that these cabinet secretaries focus their work nationally and not just within the country. Honorable Speaker, we all remember very well how the Honorable Mutahi Kagwe was very instrumental during the COVID-19 period. And Honorable Speaker, some of the things that really impressed me when I watched the interview was when he spoke about engaging the youth in the agricultural sector. Because, Honorable Speaker, we are a country that is largely agricultural, but our young people are not interested in that space. And some of the ideas that he did share in terms of how he would engage the youth in this space was very impressive. Honorable Speaker, the other thing that the Honorable Mutahi Kagwe spoke about was the use of AI technology within our weather and agricultural space, which is something that is very progressive. It is being used in other countries, and it's very enlightening and very exciting to hear that a cabinet nominee for agriculture is actually talking about engaging AI in terms of the weather checks and also the increasing our agricultural produce. Honorable Speaker, in terms of the Honorable Lee Kinyanjui, I support his nomination. Honorable Lee Nyanjui was fantastic as a governor. And not only that, those of us who worked within the Azimio Secretariat will remember how Honorable Lee Kinyanjui really assisted us in having a youth volunteer movement across the whole country, and he was very magnanimous in terms of how he shared his wealth of experience with us. Honorable Speaker, and finally the Honorable William Kabogo, when his nomination was announced, someone asked me why they would take someone like William Kabogo in the ICT space. But those of us who are really, really interested in that space know that the Honorable William Kabogo did a lot of digital transformation in Kiambu County. While he was there, he ensured that there was free Wi-Fi in the urban centers in Kiambu County. He ensured there was a digital county transformation service, including educating the people of Kiambu County to be able to engage in financial systems within the county. Honorable Speaker, even the system of digital revenue collection, while I was a member of County Assembly, I remember that one of the counties that we did visit as a place as a learning experience was Kiambu County, because they were able to strengthen and have a cashless system within their digital system. And so, Honorable Speaker, this for sure is a nominee who really understands that particular environment. And Honorable Speaker, without gainsetting what has already been done within the ICT sector, we do want to ensure that the entire country of Kenya has fiber optic. And I really like the fact that he already has knowledge in this space. Honorable Speaker, the nominee, William Kabogo, also spoke about the unethical use of social media, protecting the youth from harmful use of social media. And I did hear him also suggesting that we should get into a place where we regulate the social media space. We do not necessarily need to gag people from social media like TikTok, X, and Facebook, but we can introduce regulations within this space. The other thing that he spoke about that was very interesting, Honorable Speaker, is that he talked about the Konza Technopolis and having investors come on board in that particular space so that we can grow our Technopolis space. Honorable Speaker, the only thing I just want to say and encourage, and this is also because we are saying now that we want our cabinet secretaries to work for the whole of Kenya. It is my wish that the executive would actually have a rotational basis where 2 weeks in every month, the cabinet secretaries can actually go to different parts of this country and work from there, so that they can understand what Kenyans are going through. They can understand the different spaces that their ministries and dockets are engaging on. And then that way, they'll be able to serve all Kenyans very well. We don't have to have cabinet secretaries being confined in Nairobi in the headquarters. I wish they would actually rotate and go everywhere. With those very few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I wish to support the nominations. I thank you.
Wamumbi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also rise to offer support to this motion that seeks...
Members, I will be calling the mover to reply at 2:30. So those I'm giving an opportunity, take as little time as you possibly can. I would recommend 2-3 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Obliged. I also rise to support this motion that seeks to approve the appointment of Honorable Mutahi Kagwe, Honorable Lee Kinyanjui, and Honorable William Kabogo as Cabinet Secretaries, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I specifically ask Honorable Mutahi Kagwe to take the issue of vaccination very seriously, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the President has just come back from UAE in search of market for our beef. And Mr. Speaker, it is only the well-vaccinated livestock that will compete for the markets out there. And we saw him during the interview. He said it is not a forced exercise, it is those who are willing, but we continue to urge our farmers to welcome this vaccination issue because it's of advantage to their beef, so that their beef can fetch good markets out there, Mr. Speaker. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the people of Mukurweini, where Honorable Mutahi Kagwe was born and where he comes from. It is very bad, and I want to sympathize with them, that as we approve the Yasan, the MP, Mr. Speaker, is not in this house to stand with the people of Mukurweini. I have seen him in a barrio somewhere propagating the Itungati fake narrative. He was supposed to be in this house to approve a son of Mukurweini, but instead of coming to this house to approve the son of Mukurweini, he is in a funeral somewhere propagating an Itungati fake narrative. I assure the people of Mukurweini that we are going to make sure the Yasan is approved so that he can serve Kenyans and all Kenyans. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank you.
Women Rep Kwale. Women Rep Kwale.
Basi asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipatia nafasi hii. Mimi pia niunge mkono uteuzi wa mawaziri hawa watatu ambao wamelipitishwa na kamati ya uteuzi hivi majuzi na leo hii wameletwa katika bunge hili. Mimi naunga mkono Mheshimiwa Spika, na pia niwapatie tu nasaha yangu kidogo mawaziri hawa. Ndugu zangu, mmechaguliwa na tunawachagua sisi kama wabunge wa bunge hili la kitaifa kwa roho moja. Mimi natoka Kwale na ningependa na naomba wakati mkifanya kazi mawaziri wetu, mjue Kwale pia ni county katika zile county 47. Muweze pia sisi kunyorosha mkono kwetu. Mheshimiwa Spika, Kwale ni county ambayo ina ukulima na ina mashamba ambayo yana rutuba kubwa sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Na sisi pia wa Kwale ni wafugaji wazuri sana Mheshimiwa Spika, lakini utapata katika ukulima wetu na ufugaji wetu katika kaunti yetu hatuwezeshwi mara nyingi, hatuwezeshwi kisheria na hatuwezeshwi pia kipesa. Bado tunafanya ukulima ule wa zamani ambao hauwezi kwa sasa hivi. Ulimwengu mahali umefika, tunahitaji ukulima wa kisasa. Mheshimiwa Spika, Kwale bado sisi tuko nyuma sana kwa mambo ya ukulima na ufugaji. Tunafuga kama nilivyoelezea. Mheshimiwa Spika, nilikuwa na matumaini makubwa sana wakati Mheshimiwa Salim Mvurya waziri alipokuwa amechaguliwa katika wizara hii ya investments and trade. Nilikuwa na matumaini, nikajua kwa sababu kila mtu anajua mahali kiatu kinapomchoma, basi Mheshimiwa Mvurya angekuwa mzuri sana kwa kuweza kurekebisha Kwale. Lakini kwa sababu hawa pia ni wa Kwale, ni wa Kenya wenzetu, nasema nawapatia kongole, lakini waangalie sana Kwale. Sisi hatuna viwanda. Best titanium imeenda inakufa, hiyo imekwisha mambo yake. Tuna Ramisi Sugar ile Kwale Sugar Factory. Hatuwezi kusema tuna kampuni ya sukari Kwale. Hatuna viwanda kabisa ndani ya Kwale. Kwa hivyo mimi naomba nasaha yangu mawaziri, mnapoingia mjue Kwale pia ni katika zile kaunti 47 na muweze kutunyoroshea mkono. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, sitaki niwe mrefu sana. Naunga mkono uteuzi wa mawaziri hawa Mheshimiwa Spika.
Martin Owino.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I rise to support this special motion, I want to congratulate you and your team, for you sat through it all. And we watched it and we took notes. The Speaker, there's only one item which I would like to be introduced into our vetting exercise. In this House, we did pass that we have quarterly reports from our ministries. How I hope that those reports, if it's somebody from a ministry like a cabinet, Kagwe, we would have that report from the department to tell us how he performed in that section. And also that report will help the majority leader in his report so that he can reference it. The same with others from the two gentlemen from the Senate. So if we can be citing reports from these sectors, it is going to make it more better than individual verbal appreciations. Other than say that the three nominees impressed me much. As a member of the Departmental Committee on Health, I want to say Honorable Kagwe has a competency, and I know he will do a good job. I just want him, when he gets there, if approved, so that he can start with some things which are really bothering Kenyans. Having come from the Ministry of Health, he values health. The issue of pesticides, Mr. Speaker, is causing a lot of harm to our people. As we speak, over 310 products of pesticides are used in this country. And pesticides have been connected to 6 cancers. And if not checked, we can harm us more. As for Kabogo, we have built, according to the presidential initiative, every ward. Like in my constituency, I have 3 wards with ICT hub. But I've written so many letters to have them equipped, have not been done. As for Lee Kinyanjui, how I wish you also put as a priority, in a priority list, building industries in our rural settings so that our kids do not migrate to urban areas to be slum dwellers, and also to make value addition to our natural products. With those, Mr. Speaker, I support the 3 nominees.
Wamurata. Give her the mic.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also stand to support the approval of the 3 honorable members of this country that bring in a wealth of experience from the past times that they have worked for this nation. I personally want to first congratulate the 3 of them for getting this opportunity and being approved to serve this country. And I also want to echo the words that were said by our ML over the Minister Kagwe, who was at during the COVID time, the Minister for Health, and he brought in a whole wealth of experience to a point that he was able to identify with even all the children in the country, that even the young children had a name for him. And I remember one child who used to call him Mutuenu wa Corona, because he had spoken about COVID until even the children had come to understand. The other thing is that he very well coordinated with the young people, and especially in his quotes, not forgetting the quote that he had, that if we continue treating this disease normally, it is going to treat us abnormally. And I want to request Honorable Kagwe to come with the same great slogans to the young people, so that he may be able to teach them agriculture and enable them to understand that agriculture is also a way of earning a living, whereby we have our young people who still don't believe that agriculture is a way of earning a living. And if he comes with the wealth of experience that he has, I want to believe that our children are going to identify with him. I also want to congratulate the Honorable William Kafogo, who comes from the county that I represent, the county of Kiambu, and Lee Kinyanjui, who too also come with the wealth of experiences, considering that both of them have served as governors in very densely populated counties that are cosmopolitan. And I really want to thank the President for considering these 2 people who have served with Kenyans and served in counties that have a population of all the communities in this country. And so we want to believe that as they come in, they will come to serve Kenyans and not their region. I also want to believe that Honorable Kafogo will be able to handle the issue of ICT. And I remember when he was a governor, there used to be free Wi-Fi in hospitals, and especially one time I visited a maternity hospital in Kiambu Level 5, and there was free Wi-Fi, which I don't think is there today. And I want to believe that when he brings all this kind of information that he had and the wealth of information, that we are going to go to the next height. I also want, on my last point, to tell these people that they are coming in to the country when there is a lot of heat of political noise in the country. And I want to pray and request them that they come in.
Dr. Nyikal, your time is up. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, as I support the nomination of this gentleman, I have two observations that I want to bring out that are important, and 2 points. Mr. Speaker, the issue of regional and ethnic equity, although we have played it down and we said is something we should look at, but I can't blame them for that because they did not appoint themselves in this position. But it's something we should look at in the future. The second thing, Mr. Speaker, is these are gentlemen who have worked well. But again, there are 2 points, particularly for Honorable Kagwe and Honorable Kabogo, that actually did besmirch them. The issue during the corona where Mutai worked very well, but the COVID billions, actually it did raise issues. I saw them respond to this. I saw him respond to this. And also, Honorable Kabogo, again, there was issue of the lady that died. I saw him respond to this. But the biggest problem we have in this country is integrity. So we may start to look at the principle of being as spotless as a bishop's wife. But I know because of what they have done, they'll actually prove themselves beyond those issues. The other one, Mr. Speaker, that is a point that I think they can. The three of them, if they work together, Mr. Speaker, they can solve the problem of employment amongst our youth. I believe that it is actually agro-industry that will be our industrialization that can employ our people, and that will include actually the Honorable Kagwe and Honorable Kabogo and Honorable Kinyanjui. Kinyanjui in industry, Mutagwe in agriculture, and IT and communication. And all of them have done that. If they actually work in these 3 areas, and they can actually create massive employment for our youth. With that, Mr. Speaker, I support. Bishop Kosgei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also, from the onset, wish to support the motion about the nominees into various ministries as outlined by the committees. And I wish to congratulate the committee for having had a thorough conversation between and amongst the 3, and we were able to watch, Mr. Speaker, from the comfort of our homes. And I wish to congratulate them for their performance. They indicated, number 1, the maturity in the ministries that they are going to serve, and also experience that they are bringing to the government. I wish to appeal to them, as this House would approve, because I'm appealing that we do so, that 1, we have witnessed a trend of members of executive violating the oath of secrecy in government. This is not a good tradition and not a good trend. And we are appealing, and I listened to them when questions were placed before them that was really tempting them to reveal what they knew and what they did. And I was so impressed that they were bound by the oath of secrecy. I think the rest of us in government should be able to learn. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, is that we are appealing as they come. There has been a missing link in terms of communication of what the government is doing. And that people who are thriving with propaganda in social media have taken a field day. We are not hearing anyone from the side of government. Finally, Mr. Speaker, is that the issue of technology, which has been abused, and some others have been using our young people to do things that are unethical. With the coming of Kabogo and the experiences he has, we hope this will be sanitized. With that, Mr. Speaker, I support the approval of these nominees.
Rueda.
Asante Bwana Spika, kunipatia nami nafasi nipate kuchangia. Mimi moja kwa moja naunga mkono na nataka tu niwaambie vile wamesema pale kwa kamati iwe ni hivyo. Sio kusema tu kwa mdomo bali waseme kwa vitendo. Maana mara nyingi tumeona kama hii ministry ya ICT kuna wakati ilitoa nafasi za vijana kila county wawili, lakini county zingine hazipewi hizo nafasi. Utaona hata zile zetu 2 zinapewa wengine. Kwa hivyo waziri akifika hapo aangalie kama Wakenya, aangalie Kenya yote, asiache Mkenya mwingine nje. Sisi ni Wakenya pia, kule kwetu ni Lamu mbali kidogo tutasaulika. Kwa hivyo atuzingatie na atumie ile affirmative kufikiria na kusaidia watu walioko mbali. Si lazima Lamu peke yake, lakini Wakenya wote kwa jumla. Niambie pia waziri wa ukulima ajue sisi samaki so asiangalie tu upande wa ukulima peke yake, angalie mifugo na angalie pia samaki. Samaki iko kwa ukulima, aje na mbinu za kisasa zile ambazo zitatusaidia, sio zile za kwamba babu yetu alikwenda kivua samaki akipata pengine kilo 20 kwa mara moja, sasa hivi watu wakienda wanapata kilo 1. So atafute mbinu mbadala, mbinu za kisasa, pia wasaidie wavuvi wetu kule wapate kufaidika. Mbali na hivyo, eneo ninaloliwakilisha mimi Lamu Mashariki lina upande mwingi wa manufaa. Kuna upande wa kuseme samaki, pia sisi ni wakulima wa simsim, ni wakulima wa watermelon. Kuna mfadhili mmoja alisaidia tu hivi karibuni akapeana 500,000 kwa kikundi cha youth. 500,000 hiyo iliitoa watermelon mpaka tukashindwa kuuza. Watermelon ni nyingi sana. So kunao haja ya waziri kuingia pia kule kuangalia area zile gani zitatoa mazao gani tuweze kusaidia watu wetu, na pia itakuwa ni kuinua uchumi wa Kenya. Pia upande huo kuna ukulima mfano kama wa ndimu, ukulima wa mhogo, lakini bado ni ile ya zamani. Hawatusaidii ukulima wa simsim. Mimi namuomba waziri mwanzo ukulima wa simsim, si ndio tunatoa simsim mzuri. Ajue akiingia kuna kazi inamngojea pale mezani. Ajue kule Lamu Mashariki simsim ziko nyingi haziuziki kwa sababu ya makosa ya watu wengine. Wao walitumia ile dawa inaita kausha, wakausha mimea. Sasa ile simsim yetu haiwezi kuuzika kule uzunguni, haiwezi kwenda. Kwa hivyo aje atafautishe, wale wanatumia madawa wasipeleke hizo bidhaa zao, lakini wale ambao hawatumii madawa zile bidhaa zao ziweze kupelekwa. Na asiseme, sinitarajia aseme kwamba ati zungumza na county. Mimi
Time up. Cherorot, then mover, be ready to reply.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
1 hour and you all agreed.
Mr. Speaker, I stand to support the appointment of the 3 nominees, Mutahi Kagwe, Liki Nyanjui, and William Kabogo. Mr. Speaker, the 3 gentlemen, from their own experience and the way they have served in this country, I can say that they qualify and they have the capacity to serve in those ministries which they have been assigned. Mr. Speaker, the President himself, I think through his own wisdom, he has appointed the 3. And you remember, Mr. Speaker, the President, during the campaign, he had his own, the plan, which is the agenda and the manifesto, which he is running with. And I want to say that the coming in of the 3, they have to make sure that they have to hit the ground running so that they can be able to deliver. Because, Mr. Speaker, as we are aware in our country, we have lagged behind due to some challenges we've been having. And I want also to encourage that even the rest of the CSS that we have, Mr. Speaker, they have to make sure that they deliver service. They should not sit and watch things happening in this country. And I want to challenge also the 3, Mr. Speaker, that the government they are going to serve, they should be careful not to fight the government from within. They have to support the government and to make sure that they deliver services to Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that in our country, these ministries that have been created, they were created with a purpose so that they can be able
to serve the common people, Mr. Speaker. And the three also should mark their territorial boundaries in this country to make sure that they serve from north to south and even from east to west, because they are serving Kenyans and they have to be faithful in actually serving His Excellency and Kenyans at large. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
I'll give the following 2 minutes each. Mudhoni, member for Kieni, Women Rep Nakuru, Masito? Not Masito, Mbeyu. Yes, let me see how you do. 2 minutes each. Start with Dorothy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I first want to really thank the vetting committee and you as the chair for the excellent job undertaken. And I want to thank His Excellency for picking on competent, expert, and experienced individuals to be cabinet secretaries in his government. Honorable Speaker, I straight away want to go to Honorable Mutahi Kagwe. Agriculture is the backbone of this country, and it can leverage on new technology, especially, Honorable Speaker, to invest in dry land to supplement crop production in the wetlands. As I say that, Honorable Speaker, I also wish to say all other crops which have been gazetted. The government has been very keen in opening new markets for these crops. And I want to say one crop that looks like it has been forgotten as much as it's cash crop gazetted in this country is the Mira crop. And I wish that the CS Agriculture will fast track this crop and look for markets for the Mira crop, so that the farmers in that area of the country can also benefit and reap big from this country. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Kieni. Was it Lisa first or Kieni first? Lisa first. Kieni, take your seat. Give to Lisa Chelule. Iko moja pale. My clerks, why are you misfiring today?
Asante sana Bwana Spika kunipatia nafasi pia nichangie kwa mjadala ambaye imeletwa katika National Assembly na Majority Leader wetu. Na nataka kuchukua hii nafasi kupongeza Rais kwa kuteua hawa watendakazi watatu na wengi ambayo tuliwapitisha asubuhi. Napongeza Rais kwa niaba ya watu ya Nakuru. Bwana Spika, nataka kuongea juu ya Waziri Mutahi Kagwe ambaye tulifanya kazi na yeye katika Senate na namjua kwa utekelezi yake ya kazi. Ningependa tu kuchukua hii nafasi nimweleze Mheshimiwa Mutahi Kagwe kwamba kuna mimea ambaye ni kama imesaulika, na mimea huu ni pyrethrum. Nakuru County ni moja ya counties ambaye wanapanda pyrethrum kwa wingi. Pyrethrum ni mmea ambaye tulitumia sana wakati yake kusomesha watoto wetu kule Nakuru. Kwa hivyo ninaomba Mutahi Kagwe akikuja kuanza kazi washikane pamoja na Lee ambaye tunajua pia kazi yake. Kwa niaba ya watu ya Nakuru ninajua tutafaidika na vijana watapata kazi. Kina mama pia wamejitokesha kuwa wakulima wa maziwa, kwa ng'ombe ya maziwa. Kwa hivyo nina hakika kwamba Mutahi Kagwe atatekeleza kazi. Otherwise nawatakia mema na I wish all of you colleagues a happy 2025. Thank you.
Kieni.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the opportunity. I really want to offer my voice in supporting the three wise men who have been appointed to our cabinet. Indeed, they bring with them a lot of competences, various competences, experiences, and their braveness and commitment to work. Mr. Speaker, I really want to say that to Mr. Mutahi Kagwe, this is one man who has been vilified and demonized in our county of Nyeri, suggested that it doesn't matter, But to him, I tell him, it matters to Kenya that there will be food on the table, enough for all Kenyans. He is not appointed particularly for the people of Nyeri. So he should take heart, take courage, that Kenyans are looking upon him to make sure that there is enough for everybody and all the times. Not saying that, not also failing to note that also Mr. Honorable Kabogo, when he was the Governor Emeritus for Kiambu, he gave his best, and particularly he showed commitment to healthy delivery services in Kiambu. Also Kinyajui, having delivered Nakuru as a city, it took him a lot of time, a lot of courage, and a lot of knowledge. Mr. Speaker, sir, having said that, I didn't want to encourage all of them to give their best. Thank you. I wish them well in their service. Let them bring their wisdom, and we all work towards doing something for this country. Mr. Speaker, I don't follow simple people. I follow great minds. And that is why in 2017, I offered myself to deputize Mutai.
Very good. Women Rep Kilifi.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika. Wacha nichukue fursa hii kukupongeza, kuombea kila mtu mwaka mpya mwema 2025. Tuombe ushirikiano, kufanya kazi pamoja. Muhimu Mheshimiwa Spika, nipongeze wateule wa waziri hawa watatu. Nazungumze kuhusu Mheshimiwa Kabogo. Sijafanya kazi vizuri karibu naye, lakini kwa sababu ameletwa katika wizara ya mambo na dijitali, ni ombi langu kwake kuwa ataweza kushirikiana na Wakenya wote na hasa vijana, ambapo anaingia wakati vijana wako vizuri kidijitali, na hatutataka wawe wataendelea kutumia mitandao vibaya. Aone vipi atatafutia kazi za kidijitali vijana wote ambao wanahangaika, wanasumbuka na wanatoa maneno wanaotoa kwa sababu wako tu bure, hawana kazi. Kuna kazi nyingi sana za kidijitali anaweza kuwatafutia na waweze kujikimu. Langu kwa Mheshimiwa Mutahi Kagwe, nilimjua akiwa waziri wa afya. Saizi amepelekwa wizara ya kilimo, pale alipo anisikie naitwa Mheshimiwa Mbeyu wa Kilifi. Tunataka ile mimea ya kule pwani, mkorosho, minazi, tuweze kuregeshewa, japo kilimo kimegatuliwa, aweze kushirikiana na county government ya Kilifi, tuone vipi mimea yetu biashara, mkorosho, maembe na nazi zimeweza kupata faida.
Majority Leader, reply now. You all agree that we assign 1 hour to each of these motions.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me to take this opportunity first to thank all the members for the contributions and for their support to these nominees who are vetted under your chairmanship, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in reply, let me just say I've listened to many of the contributors and their sentiments, and it's important, Honorable Speaker, to re-emphasize that as many of the contributors to this motion have said, cabinet secretaries come into office to serve all the people of Kenya and the government of the day, and they serve not just the regions they come from, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it's also important that, as has been said by many people, that even these nominees and even those others who are serving in cabinet today, to recognize that they not only have a collective responsibility in their service to the people of Kenya, but also to carry themselves with the decorum and integrity that beholds of their offices, Honorable Speaker. If any of our cabinet secretaries feels that the president has reassigned them to a ministry that they think is lower than whichever other ministry that they were in, Honorable Speaker, the honorable thing to do is, if you feel the ministry you are serving in is too small for you and you're too big for that ministry, simply resign. If you think, Honorable Speaker, that you are reassigned to a ministry where you are not able to extort money from people as you used to extort in any other, Honorable Speaker, and you can't say to the public, and you now want to pretend that you are holier than thou. And we know you. And you know, if you are about to be fired, don't pretend that you are either resigning or asking to be fired. Honorable Speaker, just go. And it is not just those who are serving, even these ones that we are approving today. This House will oversight all these cabinet secretaries without regard as to where they came from, what political affiliation they are coming from, because, Honorable Speaker, in the spirit of the broad-based government, we have cabinet secretaries who are serving this country who were not part and parcel of the Kenya Kwanza campaign trail. But the country is bigger than Kenya Kwanza, Honorable Speaker. The country or the government of the day serves all Kenyans, Honorable Speaker. And I must commend the President for seeing beyond his political party, for seeing beyond the coalition that he campaigned under, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I must commend the cabinet secretaries who came from ODM. The Honorable John Buddy, the Honorable Pio Andai, the Honorable Joho, the Honorable Oparanya, even the Honorable Askul. These are cabinet secretaries who are serving this country with diligence, with integrity, and with commitment to the people of Kenya. You do not serve as a cabinet secretary to serve the president of the day. You serve the people of Kenya. It is Kenyan taxpayers who pay your salary. Serve with honor, serve with diligence, serve with the commitment that you have served in for these three nominees, Honorable Speaker. And even those cabinet secretaries who are in office today, Honorable Speaker, as we continue to oversight them, let me say we will oversight them. But let me also say we will not waste any more of our parliamentary time to impeach a cabinet secretary. Honorable Speaker, cabinet secretaries are not people to waste our time with. The honorable thing for a cabinet secretary who feels they have failed on their job, or they are too big for the current job that they are holding, is to resign. They should not waste our time, or even waste the president's time. But the president has a prerogative to hire, fire, and also reassign. And therefore, when you serve in a ministry, there is no ministry that is more important than the other, or any state department that is more important than the other, if your motivation is service to the people of Kenya. But if your motivation is extortion, if your motivation is deals in government, then you will find that maybe this particular department of state is better than the ministry I'm currently serving in, because probably you are not able to get the kind of deals you are getting in another office, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, with those many remarks, because I can see we have good numbers, I beg to reply, Honorable Speaker, and ask this House to approve these cabinet secretaries to go forth and serve the people of Kenya. And I want to believe, as they committed to the people of Kenya during their vetting process, they will serve with diligence, they will serve with integrity, they will serve all Kenyans to improve the lot of all Kenyans, improve our economy through the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, I support and I beg to reply. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Sorry to the members who wanted to speak, but because of time, you didn't get space. But listening to all of you, I think the chorus was one. You are all supporting. There was no dissent. So those who spoke, spoke for all of us. I'll now put the question at order number 12, which is that taking into consideration the findings of the Committee on Appointments in its fourth report on the vetting of the nominees for appointment as cabinet secretaries laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 16th January 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 152(2) of the Constitution and Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, this House approves the appointment of the following persons as cabinet secretaries: Honorable Mutai Kakwe, AGH, Agriculture and Livestock Development. Honorable William Kabogo, Information, Communication and the Digital Economy. Honorable Lee Kinyanjui, Investments, Trade and Industry. As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 13, motion, consideration of Senate amendments to the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 70 of 2023.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this is a very short motion, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that, I'm looking for the supplementary order paper. That the House considers that the Senate amendments to the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 70 of 2023 be now considered. Honorable Speaker, this Gambling Control Bill is a bill that this House passed early last year, you remember, together with the Betting Control Bill, and because it had provisions that touch on county governments, it was conveyed to the Senate for consideration, and the Senate did move a number of amendments which have since been considered by the Committee for Sports under the chairmanship of Honorable Wanyama. And Honorable Speaker, the committee in its report which they tabled towards the tail end of the last session recommended that we object or we reject all the Senate amendments, Honorable Speaker. And many of the amendments, Honorable Speaker, that are being amended, that were amended by the Senate and which the committee has proposed that we reject, counter to the provisions of articles of the Constitution touching on the different functions of the two levels of government between the national government and the county functions. They are also contrary to the provisions of Article 109 of the Constitution on the exercise of legislative powers. Honorable Speaker, maybe for clarity, Article 109, Honorable Speaker, says that Parliament shall exercise its legislative power through bills passed by Parliament and assigned to the President. And Parliament in this instance means both chambers of Parliament. But any bill may originate from the National Assembly. 3 says that a bill not concerning county government is considered only in the National Assembly and passed in accordance with Article 122. And because this bill did concern counties, that is why it was not only considered by the National Assembly alone, and we took it to the Senate. 4 is that a bill concerning county governments may originate in the National Assembly, like this bill, or the Senate, and is passed in accordance with Articles 110 and 113, 122 and 123 of the standing orders. And 5, a bill may be introduced by any member or committee of the relevant House of Parliament, but a money bill may be introduced only in the National Assembly in accordance with Article 114. Honorable Speaker, many of the amendments that were inserted into this bill from the Senate are amendments that touch on or that had a money bill effect, and therefore making this bill, which originally was not a money bill, a money bill. And therefore, there is no way that this House, under Article 109 of the Constitution, would allow the Senate to usurp the powers of the National Assembly in terms of introducing bills that have a money bill effect. Because, Honorable Speaker, it is the Constitution that says that only the National Assembly may consider bills that have a money bill effect. Whether it is the imposition of taxes, levies, or charges to Kenyans or from the Exchequer, Honorable Speaker, that can only be done by the National Assembly. And therefore, many of the amendments, Honorable Speaker, that you will see that were done by the Senate touched on imposition of taxation, imposition of levies, imposition of penalties and charges, things that can only be done by this House, Honorable Speaker. And I know, Honorable Speaker, there are people in the Senate who thought that it's an ingenious way of introducing such provisions, then take this bill to mediation to consider these bills. And Honorable Speaker, I want to implore on you, when and if we reject these amendments and we go into mediation, all the clauses that touch or have a money bill effect, Honorable Speaker, I would beg that you do ask the House or the mediation committee not to consider those clauses because it will be unconstitutional. Completely unconstitutional, Honorable Speaker. Two, Honorable Speaker, besides those provisions being unconstitutional having been introduced in the Senate, it is also not possible to re-legislate on certain things that we have already legislated on. Towards the tail end of the last session, Honorable Speaker, we legislated on the Tax Procedures Act bill, which is now an act of parliament. We legislated on the Tax Amendment Bill, which is now an act of parliament. Some of the provisions that the Senate had amended to in this bill are covered under the Tax Amendment Act of 2024. And therefore, reintroducing the same clauses in this bill, Honorable Speaker, again will be unprocedural, against our own standing orders, unconstitutional, illegal, null and void. And therefore, I would beg that, Honorable Speaker, when you are making your determination on the clauses that will be mediated on, you do direct that the mediation committee, when we form one, ceases or does not consider some of these provisions that are unconstitutional and have already been legislated on, especially touching on the money bill provisions, Honorable Speaker, because we cannot allow the Senate as a lower house to take over the mandate of the upper house. And you know, Honorable Speaker, I have never used those words in my almost 13 years in this house, which house is upper to which one. Because it's not important, Honorable Speaker, but it is important to adhere to the provision of this Constitution. The drafters of this Constitution had reasons as to why they did not give powers to appropriate resources to the Senate. They had reasons why they never gave powers to the Senate to levy taxation or even fees and levies to Kenyans. And they had reason why they said that the Senate represents the counties and the National Assembly represents the people of Kenya. And therefore, it is only those who represent the people of Kenya who can impose taxation on them. The Senate cannot go behind our backs, Honorable Speaker, and begin to impose taxes, then pretend that we can come and mediate on taxation. We cannot mediate on tax matters with the Senate, Honorable Speaker. And that I want to beg the House to agree with the Committee of Sports and reject in totality all the amendments that came from the Senate. And we can then mediate on all the other clauses except those that touch on the money bill, that have a money bill effect. With those, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move, and I want to ask the Honorable Karoli Omondi, who I believe is a member of this committee, to second. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much, Majority Leader. I have the pleasure in seconding the motion that the Senate amendments to the Gambling Control Bill now be considered. And as the Majority Leader has pointed out, there are several inconsistencies or legal challenges that we identified in relation to the proposed amendments. Some of them naturally offend certain legislations. For example, you'd see the Senate is proposing to amend Clause 7 to the effect that the composition of the board of the proposed authority does not have a representative of the Attorney General. The State Corporations Act, Cap 446, as well as the Mwongozo Code of Governance, actually make such membership mandatory. So we really cannot accede to that proposed amendment. There are also other amendments that conflict with the intentions of the bill. Several of those you will see, like in Clause 10, as well as in Clause 11. And then some of the proposed amendments, apart from conflicting with the Constitution as well as various statutes, as the Majority Leader has pointed out, were matters that were covered by the recently passed tax amendment laws. As a committee, we would like to propose that we go for mediation, and that this House rejects all the proposed amendments, and we go for mediation, and hopefully we can find a solution to this matter. But we are not persuaded by any of those amendments, and we cannot accede to any of them for various reasons, such as breach of provisions of Article 109 of the Constitution and other laws. With those few remarks, I support. Thank you.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that this House do agree Honorable members, I now propose the question that the Senate amendments to the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 70 of 2023, be now considered. Honorable member. Yes, I'm trying to give him the mic. Yes, there you have the mic.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Inasmuch as I'm loyal to the leader of majority, they have been given constitutional opportunity to quite often speak, whereas the ordinary members have to struggle to catch the speaker's eye, Madam Speaker. And I think it's a rare opportunity. That's why I've been adamant. I should at least say something so that people of Wajir North can hear their member of parliament. I may not speak with wisdom, at least I pronounce myself. Madam Speaker, it is clear, it's a simple, straightforward motion, but we can only legislate or argue out issues where there is ambiguity. Inasmuch as there is clarity in the law, in plain English, I don't see why the Senate or the two houses are always in a tussle to fight over their mandate. I don't know why the Senate looks so desperate to interfere on the mandate of the National Assembly. They carry themselves as the upper house when indeed they are not. There is nothing in a name. We can even call them by that name. But surely they can only be so in executing their role as stipulated in the Constitution. Madam Speaker, I was just casually, in a very quick way, running through Article 96 on the role of the Senate. And they have nothing to do on the matters in the motion. From 96, 1, 2, 3, it's all limited to county matters. The interest of counties, matters affecting the counties, protecting the county government. The National Assembly is within the purview of the National Assembly, the national government functions. So, Madam Speaker, I wonder, you are a senior, a legal mind. I can't really understand why the Senate, since 2010, we are over, it is how many decades of this Constitution, why they can't come to terms to understand their role, why there should be duplication, why they should have committees on security, committees on every aspect, when indeed their role is so limited in Article 96, 1, 2, 3, and 4 only. So explicit. So mine is to ask the leadership of this House, can we come together and really know and tell each other the roles as they are in the Constitution? So without much ado, I think that is sufficient for me to be heard, Madam Speaker. Mine is to agree with the leader of majority and Honorable Karoli. They have contravened the Constitution when they really know what they were doing is in contravention of the Constitution. It is a deliberate attempt to do so, and the work of the National Assembly is protected, preserved in the Constitution, and that shall remain so until we amend the Constitution. With those few contributions, I say thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Gishugu, Honorable Gishumu Gidinji. Honorable Nyikali, you're next. So you hold on.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think I support the motion that we delete and all the amendments that have been done by the Senate, because they have overstepped their mandate as per the Constitution. Under Article 96, Senate is there to protect the interests of the counties. And I believe it should also follow that they should also be oversighting matters that relate to the counties. Sometimes we find it very contradicting that the National Assembly, which has the mandate to oversight the National Assembly, the national government operations and functions under the ministries, we have parallel committees of the National Assembly and the Senate, and which might come out with the different conclusions or even outcomes. So it is very, I think Senate should not be provoking the National Assembly and inviting them to discuss these things. We are all members of Parliament, but the Parliament has two levels, and the roles are specifically being specified in the Constitution. So let Senate do their work, let the National Assembly do their work, and it's also very clear that the Senate cannot initiate bills which deal with the money. So this is an area that I don't need to belabor, but I think a decision has to be made by this House in conjunction with the Senate, so that we can clearly define our mandates and avoid overlapping roles of the Senate and the National Assembly. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity, and I support.
Let me give Honorable Nyikal, member for Seme. He was the last one.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to agree with the committee, but I want to raise a very fundamental issue. The committee has stated that some of the amendments that we are rejecting are actually unconstitutional, and they seem to agree with that with references. Madam Speaker, what it raises is the process that goes on in the Senate when they're processing. How can something unconstitutional actually go through with the clerk sitting there, going through and being, how did that happen? I think that is the issue, that if we find that they're unconstitutional, that should be addressed, maybe at a higher level. To me, that is a bigger concern than even the fact that there is no agreement. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members. Honorable members, I now put the question that the Senate amendments to the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 70 of 2023 be now considered. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. Yes, I think, honorable members. Let me put the question afresh. Honorable members, are you now well briefed? Do you want me to put the question again? Okay. Okay, I'll put the question again. Honorable members, I now put the question that the Senate amendments to the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 70 of 2023 be now considered. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The nays have it.
She needs to say.
Slow down.
Yeah.
It needs to next order.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we have our chain up. Chain is there.
Honorable members, the net effect of that is that when we go to the committee of the whole, we'll only consider the startup bill, and therefore we shall not consider the second part of it, which is the Senate amendments, which you've just rejected. Okay, next order.
Order number 14, Committee of the Whole House.
What's going on? What am I supposed to do?
So you just...
I want to see what it is. Which bill?
It's a startup bill. So they were supposed to...
Honorable members, this will take a minute or so. You remember in the morning we had the committee of the whole on the startup bill. Members, we did so well on this in the morning. So we were just recommitting a single clause, and that is clause number 9, which in the morning was negatived when it was supposed to be positived. Oh, members, don't have Fatuma. You can't sit down. I'm sorry. So I hope that you've heard the explanation I've made, that in the morning we negatived a clause which was recommitted, and this is clause 9 of the startup bill. Go ahead.
Clause 9.
Honourable members, I now propose a question that the clause 9 of the startup bill be part of the bill. Mover. The member for Aldai.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Chair, I propose that clause 9 be amended as it appears in the order paper, and the justification is that this amendment seeks to accommodate new provisions on incubation, and they are already provided under Part 4 of the Act.
Thank you. Honourable members, I propose the question, therefore, that clause 9 of the startup bill be amended as proposed by the chair of the committee. Members, I put the question that clause 9 be amended as proposed, and that means clause 9 be amended through deletion. Will as many of the opinion say aye? Will as many of the opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Members, I now put the question that clause 9 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Will as many of that opinion say nay? Ayes have it. Mover.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Startup Senate Bill number 14 of 2022 and its approval thereof with amendments.
Thank you. All members, I therefore put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Startup Bill, Senate Amendment Bill number 14 of 2022 and its approval thereof with amendments. Will as many of the opinion say aye? Will as many of the opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Honorable members, Madam Speaker.
Okay, Chairperson, you may move the report.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Startup Bill, Senate Bill number 14 of 2022, and approved the same with amendments.
Okay, mover. Honorable Mayaka.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Startup Bill, Senate Bill number 14 of 2022, be now read a third time, and I also request the Honorable Marianne Kaitani to second.
I think this is a very good bill. I second.
If you can just take that again. Yeah, Honorable, where you say, I beg to move that the House do agree. After the chairpersons. Yeah, you beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee on the said bill, on the said report. And I request the Honorable Marianne Kaitani to second.
Honorable Kaitani.
I second.
Honorable members, I propose the question that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Honorable members. Yes, check. We can put the question. I think we have numbers, yes. Honorable members, I now put the question that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable Mayaka, mover of the bill. You can move it third reading, yes.
Okay. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Startup Senate Bill number 14 of 2022 be now read a third time, and I also request the Honorable Alice Nganga to second.
Honorable Speaker, I second.
Honorable members, I propose the question that the Startup Senate Bill number 14 of 2022 be now read a third time. And now put the question. Honorable members, I therefore put the question, which is that the Startup Senate Bill number 14 of 2022 be now read a third time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to provide a framework to support growth and sustainable technological development and transfer, innovative entrepreneurial culture, to create an environment for innovation, to attract talent and capital from Kenya, to recognize and to support startups, incubators, accelerators, and for connected purposes.
Okay, honorable members, and the time now being 6:15 p.m., this House stands adjourned until Tuesday, 11th February 2025 at 2:30 p.m.